Okay, well, Rana Gupta is with us now, Senior Portfolio Manager, India Equity Specialist at Manulife Investment Management. Rana, it's been a fantastic June, near 7% gains for the Nifty. And now we're into the second half, into July. Earnings, budget, so a lot to track going forward. Just a quick word on, let's just look at the earnings, right? IT services will be first off the block, and there is widespread expectation that it'll be better, maybe because it's a weaker base or whatever. And especially compared to Q1Q, Q1 is usually better seasonally as well. What's a sense? IT services index in June was up almost about 8% or so, Rana.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Yes, earnings is going to start led by IT. And I do think the IT companies quarter-on-quarter basis can deliver somewhat better growth. But for the full year, the view is that the growth in the top line still is going to be a bit subdued, probably high single digits, what we can say there. Having said that, I think the IT as a sector, they have underperformed the market, and IT sector generates a lot of cash, and they have a pretty good and well-known dividend policy. So the IT stocks, I think at the end of the day, will continue to behave as defensive as far as the Indian market is concerned, at least in the shorter term. Over the medium to long term, I think the negative impacts of in software services, at least in 2 to 3 year time, of the artificial intelligence will become clear. I think in that case, one would see the top line will continue to grow at a slower level for some time. Margins, what happens, we will see. But in the shorter time frame, let's say 525, I think these stocks continue to behave quite defensively.
Okay. Rana, hi, good morning, and thanks for joining in. It's record highs for our market. I wanted your thoughts on Reliance Industries particularly, because telecom was the big talking point last week, right, with those tariff hikes finally coming through. And there's a sort of a breakout happening in some of these telecom names like Reliance. Is there still more to go on the upside in the medium term?
Unfortunately, Sonia, I won't be able to comment on the stock specific, but on the telecom, I think this hike was broadly expected. But if you look at the stock move, I think Reliance hiked tariffs better than expected, whereas the other company, Bharti, hiked tariff lower than expected, and you saw the stock reactions. But I think overall the point is for the telecom sector, right now the tariff hikes are coming through, and there may be short-term reaction in the stock prices depending on the expectation. But the broader picture is this is one industry which is reflating, where the top lines are moving up, and this is a largely fixed cost industry. And all the leading players, barring the, maybe ID, I think Bharti and Reliance, all these leading players, they have got their capex in. So I think going forward for the sector, we will see is that top line going up, cost not as much. So therefore, that should lead to pretty good cash flows for the sector and the leading companies in the sector.
All right. Hi, Rana. Good morning. Good to see you in. What about the outlook from here on for the second half of the year? Do you expect India to be a relative outperformer in comparison to global markets? Given that we have the elections that are out of the way, there are expectations with regard to the budget, and earnings could look reasonably strong. Your take?
Yes, India could still do well as compared to the global markets. In fact, if you include the developed markets in that mix, India is just about average because or slightly better or slightly less because the US has been doing so well. But I think if you compare India among emerging markets, it's clearly a better performer because if you look at the geopolitical scenario across all the emerging markets, there are worries on inflation, worries on fiscal deficit in certain countries, worries on slowing growth. I think in that entire value, India with its political stability and with its economic policies and all that stands out quite a bit. Having said that, I think few points need to be made. I think in India, the industrials, the real estate, the PSU, these cyclical stocks have done very well and rightly so because government priority was on the capex side. On the other hand, I think the private banks, the consumer durable stocks, they have underperformed by a wide margin. So I think going forward, as the budget happens, this time government has got a lot of fiscal room. We would expect some allocation to revenue expenditure while maintaining capex expenditure. But I think incremental delta for revenue expenditure should be better. And that should be positive for some of the consumer durable and private banking names, which has underperformed so far.
Okay, Rana, we will let you go on that note. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us a quick take on what you expect, could be the move in the Indian markets. Let's step into a quick break. On the other side, we kickstart a brand new week with our entire research team joining in to help us with the list of top 10 stocks. Stay with us.